Hey guys, T.A. Myers back again. Before we start this video, I'd like for you to hit the like and subscribe button. If you haven't subscribed to our channel before, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. I really appreciate it. Today we're going to talk about my routine, my writing routine, just to put people, maybe give you some advice to put you in the writing mood. There's a lot of times where, especially new writers, can get into a rut with their writing routine. There's no wrong or right way to have a writing routine. What I do might not exactly work for you, but it works for me. So I figured, I'll just share it today and see if maybe you can adapt some of my habits into what you do on a daily basis. So first thing that I do when I start my writing routine in the morning is number one, get a cup of coffee because I can't write without coffee. That's just number one. Number one thing in my routine is get a cup of coffee. But the number two thing in my routine is to start to set goals for my writing for the day. And I'm not talking goals about word count. I'm not talking goals about pages, anything like that. It's a basic goal where I set up a chapter or a scene and say, this is what I want to achieve in this chapter, or this is what I want to achieve in this scene. My current work, unnamed so far, but it will be hopefully a series because I think it's a really cool concept. But there's a main character, his name's Casino, of all names. It's kind of a weird name, but I think it's kind of cool as well. There's a lot to go into how he got his name and some backstory. But there's a FBI agent named Emily who I've actually used in some of my other works. Number one being Attrition, which is on Amazon right now in paperback and Kindle. So this Emily, who's an FBI agent, has to convince Casino to help her. And it's not going to be easy because there's already some tension that's been built up to this point. So the goal of my chapter, before I even start writing, I have to think of how Emily is going to convince Casino to help her with this case that she has. So that's my mental process that I'm going through, how to get from point A to point Z, and also create tension, create drama, create some angst between the two characters. They will probably never get along, so I have to figure out how they can work together while not getting along. So that's the goal of the chapter. That's the number one goal. So my second step for writing, again, I've already thought about the chapter. I've thought about the characters, how they're going to interact. I want to build tension. I want to build drama. The second part is just write. You're going to have to just sit down and write. But if you've done your proper preparation, you should actually start to flow with the ideas. Writer's block comes at the keyboard, but writer's block should not come at the point of conception of your idea. You know what your end goal is going to be. So when you sit down at the the computer and start typing, then it should flow pretty well. And I can type pretty fast, and I'll type thousands of words at a time. A lot of it's just rubbish, to be honest with you, because it's me telling myself the story. And that's your first draft, is just you telling yourself the story. So there's a lot of punctuation issues, there's spelling issues. I don't even go back and correct them the first time. I just keep going with the flow. So you go through the whole process, you go through the flow, you write your butt off, and then you're done with that portion. It gets you to step three. The third thing that I do every time I sit down and write is I'll start to do my self edits, my self checks. Your first thing is you want to go back and up and clean all your issues with your spelling. And that usually takes me a long time. Now, my first couple novels that I wrote, 100,000 words, I waited to the end to get done to do all my spell checks, my grammar checks. Oh man, it took me forever, and it was a pain in the ass, to be honest with you, because it was 100,000 words I had to go through that I had never spell checked before and never grammar checked before, and it was terrible. So now I do it per chapter. So every time I get done with a writing session, get done with a chapter or a scene, I'll go back and start doing my grammar and spell check. It just makes it easier just to do it as you go. So you get done with the grammar, you get done with the spell checks, Then you read the thing. You just read it to yourself. And you want to read that in the perspective of, again, you're not just telling yourself a story, but now you're going to tell somebody else's story. So you get done with that portion, you go through, you find your little mistakes, the weather, which is which, and all the theirs, they, there, whatever. You get done with all that information, you put it all together, you think, this is pretty solid, but you know what? You're the one that actually is doing the editing, so it's kind of hard to say, oh, I missed that part, because when you're reading it, again, it's coming at you so fast, and you know what the outcome should be, so your mind sometimes plays tricks on you and doesn't catch the little thing. So this is the number one hack, I would say, that a writer should be using during the writing process, and it's easy on your word. It's just called reading out loud. Read aloud. So use that to your advantage. Now I'm going to actually do that today with you guys. I'm going to do, I have it queued up on my computer here. I'll make sure my volume's up. But I am going to give you my chapter that I just got done writing. Again, it's my main character, Casino, and this FBI agent, Emily. And they have to somehow start working together because there's some issues that need to be taken care of. Only Casino is the only one that she knows that can help her out with this case. So she's got to convince him, but at the same time, he also has to convince her because she's pretty much a skeptic. This has a lot to do with paranormal stuff and ghost hunting and poltergeist and things like that. It's kind of complicated, but for the most part, this is just going to be a tension scene. And so let's just go through it. Let me see if I can get this thing to work. Read aloud and see if, of course, it's not going to work for me right when I do it. Let's do it here.
The bar on the corner might as well have been absent of a name. The neon sign in the window said Pabst Blue Ribbon, and faded paint on the front door read Our Place. Casino walked in, out of the rainy spring evening. The bar smelled like wet carpet and sour beer. Pool balls in the back room were being racked and the low songs of George Jones played on the jukebox.
Love me some George Jones, by the way.
He Stopped Loving Her Today was playing, and a man held onto the ancient artifact that was the juke, crying into his beer and looking down at the ground.
I've seen this before.
Casino walked halfway down to the fully occupied bar. He stood behind a man who was almost 6 feet tall sitting down. He
Just to let you know,
silent,
Casino's kind of a
behind
badass,
the man
but
for a few seconds before the man noticed him. Without looking behind him, the man said, "Fuck off, asshole."
Yeah.
Casino
So that's something I would
stayed
say
where
too.
he was. The men on either side of the man in question looked back at Casino. They gave the man a nudge on the shoulder, bringing his attention to the situation at hand. Casino still stood, hands in front of him, patient, calm.
He's a cool dude.
"What?" the large man said, reacting to his bar buddies. He turned around and saw Casino standing there, and Casino gave the man a nod. "Shit, sorry, here," the man said.
People kind of know about
getting to
Casino
his
already,
feet
by the way.
immediately after
So
seeing
it's
who
kind of
was
like
behind
that.
him.
You
He pulled out
just
the bar
say,
stool,
Casino's
even brushing
kind
it
of a
off with the
badass.
back of his hand. Casino said nothing to the man, and he faded away to the back of the bar to join the crier at the juke. The bartender poured a shot of whiskey into a glass that he promptly set in front of Casino. This was followed by a beer from the tap. The two men on either side scooted as
He's a
far
little bit
as
of
they
a
could,
drunk too.
making sure there was enough elbow room between the
I'm not
parties.
saying that a
The
beer
bartender
and a
grabbed the
whiskey's not a
remote and
bad
turned
idea.
the station from Fox News to CNN. A
I
voice at
stuck
the
that
end
in
of
there.
the bar gave protest. The bartender looked at the man and gave a nod towards Casino. The man immediately silenced himself and accepted the change in station. The bar itself was filled with bikers, ex-cons, future cons and rough women.
Future cons, I love that.
You could still smoke inside, only because nobody was brave enough to report it to
Ohio,
the health
you
department.
can't smoke inside.
It was this contrast that took everyone back.
Casino, you think you'd be in
Watching
Vegas,
Emily
but it's in
Young walk through
Cincinnati.
the front door.
That's where I live.
She was petite, but muscular.
This is
Her
Emily coming
long
in.
brown hair was soft and flowing. Her dark brown eyes, piercing and perfect. She wore
She's
a
a
black
good-looking woman.
pantsuit that contrasted with her light skin. She had heels on, not very tall, but still foreign in a place like this. All eyes were on hers, even Casino's, as she walked in. "Fuck," Casino said under his breath, seeing Emily.
They'd met one
then
other time,
focusing his attention back on
so
his
he
whiskey
knew
and news.
she was there for a reason.
She saw
And
him immediately
he knows that
and
she's an
walked to
FBI
where
agent.
he was sitting at the bar. She stood behind him, nearly imitating the scene from just a half hour earlier when Casino had
She's a
done
little
the
bit of
same
a
thing.
badass too. Just
She
like
had her arms crossed and a bended knee, tapping her foot lightly on the dirty tiled floor. The man to the right of Casino looked back at a woman with a scowl on her face that would peel paint. He immediately grabbed his beard
she
and
didn't want to be
vacated
there,
the
by the way.
stool. She sat down, facing sideways, looking at Casino, who refused to look at her. I figured I'd eventually find you here, Emily said.
Tracked him down.
Well, you found me. Now fuck off, Casino replied. You know,
Tension.
I saw your file. I thought you had just made up that ridiculous name, Casino Cash.
Ridiculous name, Casino Cash.
Come to find out,
Kind of ridiculous, but
that's
kind of cool,
actually
right?
your fucking name.
That's actually his fucking
You
name.
know what else I found out? I'm all ears. I saw what happened to you. There is no excuse for it. I understand now why you're angry.
Leaving
in short.
questions. Leaving questions.
went through
Open-ended
what you went
questions.
through,
What did he go
I'd be
through?
fucked in the head too.
What did
You
Casino
don't
go
say.
through?
By this time the man to Casino's left had gotten up as well. Half the bar, it seemed, had vacated to the back, giving the two space, not wanting to interfere with any of Casino's business. The bartender came over, poured a glass of white wine for Emily and topped off the whiskey. He wiped off the spot he had dripped on the wood bar top and vacated. You know what's been bugging me since that night? How the hell did you con your way into my friend's life? She said she paid you $2,000 for that shit show you put on. How did you do it? Look, whatever your name
Previous
is,
chapter. Yeah.
just leave
You'd
me
have to
the
just
fuck
read the whole
alone.
thing.
It's Special Agent Yount, but you can call me Emily. Now, how long have you been pulling this scam on people? 1 year? 2 years? Ever since you got out?
Question mark.
Casino
Got out of
didn't
where?
respond and took a long sip
I
of his
don't know.
whiskey, slamming the rocks glass on the table, making Emily jump a little. He didn't, and hadn't, looked at Emily since she sat down. He looked at his hands, flexing his fingers a little. He watched the letters on his fingers expand and contract. On his left hand the letters spelled out free, just below the knuckles. On the right hand they spelled fear. On his thumbs were the letters O and F perfectly lined up. They said free of fear.
Free of fear.
You have nothing to say to me? No explanation? Nothing? Emily asked. What do you want from me, lady? Seriously? Casino replied. I want the truth. What happened back there? Are you some sort of low-life scam artist, or was that real? I've been racking my brain trying to make a logical explanation for what happened. I've lost sleep over that night. I just need to know, what the fuck happened?
What happened?
You wouldn't believe me if I told you. Plus, I owe you nothing. I don't talk to cops. I don't like cops.
She don't like
and I
He don't
don't
like
like
cops.
you.
And there's good
You
reason
don't
for it.
have to like me.
It'll
and
come up.
frankly,
Like another
I
question.
don't care
Open-ended
much
question.
for you either. I just need to fucking know if this shit is real or not. So, tell me, what the fuck happened? The bar had grown
A lot of
quiet
cussing,
as
by the way.
eavesdroppers
Sorry.
tried to overhear the
A lot of
conversation.
F-bombs.
Casino looked up, noticing the silence, and immediately the room noised again. The bartender came back, topped off the whiskey again, and then went back to his business. The bar, at this point, had scattered in both directions, leaving the two, intimately alone, in the center with an exaggerated space between them and the next patron. Fine. You want to know? That thing wasn't a thing, it was a demon,
Ooh.
Casino said.
Ooh.
A demon. You want me to believe that was a demon in my friend's
She's very
house?
skeptical.
Emily responded. Don't fucking believe me then. I'm
Didn't
not the
F-bomb,
one looking
sorry.
for the answer. You either listen to me or you don't. Now which one will it be? Fine, go on. I'm sorry. That thing, demon, whatever. It's a soul feeder.
Ooh.
It must have attached to
Ooh.
your friend's husband when he was murdered. A strong
There
soul,
was a big build
good
up to
person,
that, by the way.
is more appetizing
Again, you'll have to
for
read the
these
book
things.
once it comes out. It'll be a
It's
while.
like,
But
the better
it is
you
what it
are,
is.
the more energy it has to feed on. So, I guess that's why it doesn't attach to you,
Ooh.
Emily said sarcastically. You're damn right. It fed on that guy that killed your friend's husband. When it was done, it moved on to a better food source.
So there it is. So I just go through, the chapter goes on, it's a couple thousand words. But the basic thing that I'm getting at is if you do the read aloud, it just sounds so much better. You go through it and you go, okay, that's readable. That's tension. That's a buildup, and then you're able to actually work off that from there. I also like to do the read aloud leading up to my next chapter. So if I put it down for a day, then I'll do the read aloud just so I can get the feel of the chapter, the previous chapter, and then jump right into my next chapter. Again, I build up a lot of tension, a lot of question marks. That's a really good thing to do with your novels as you're writing. The more questions you have, the more you can start to fill in the backstory, especially if you have a series of books. Because questions, I mean, Harry Potter's one of the best series ever, Jake. It just poses so many questions, and then all of a sudden it goes back in time and you see how everything kind of got put together and how it unfolds to the future. So putting questions, a lot of questions, and leaving them open ended. The characters, they know the answers, but they're not going to let you in on it until later on in the book, or maybe even the next book. Keep you coming back for more. So again, this is my steps. This is what I do on my routine to get ready to write every single time. I hope it helps you a little bit. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did like this video, make sure you hit the like, comment on it if you want. Hey, be my guest. And also make sure you subscribe to my page. I'll be putting out a lot more videos like this. I'm going to do a reading eventually of my book Attrition. I'm going to tell you guys about another project I have coming up that's in the works right now in beta reads. So just check back on this channel for more stuff. Again, like, subscribe, check back. I appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Have a great day. Hope this helped you. Bye.